In Rome in the 1st century, many women died during childbirth. To help with labor pain, scholar Gaius Paulinius Secundus recommended taking powder made from a female pig's poop, sperm from a goose, or fluid from a weasel's uterus.
Dad, I don't want to visit the doctor.
Why?
Hospitals and doctors are scary.
Doctors are not scary today. They help you. Modern medicine has helped everyone live longer. Average lifespan for someone born in 1900 was 31 years old. People rarely lived to grandpa and grandma's age. That was only 120 years ago. Now people in the US on average can live to almost 80 years old.
Wow! So doctors before were not as good?
Well, thanks to science, our understanding of the world and especially our bodies has increased. Unfortunately, doctors in the past didn't have the same level of understanding, and they've done some crazy things throughout history. If you go with me to the doctor's appointment, I will tell you their story.
Okay. I hope the story's interesting.
Of course. I bet you can't even imagine some of the things doctors used to do. On one brisk morning in February 1685, King Charles II was shaving himself. Suddenly, he fell to the floor and had a series of fits. It wasn't serious, and he soon recovered. But the concerned royal doctors immediately started to bleed him of 16 ounces of blood.
How? Why did they do it?
So doctors would pick a vein and use sharpened tools like a lancet or a small knife to poke a hole in it and let the patients bleed. Bleeding from different veins was believed to help with different organs. For example, to cure lower back pain, doctors would poke holes in veins behind their patients' knees. They believed bleeding patients would reduce their inflammation and restore their body's balance of fluids. For poor Charles II, that was just the beginning. Next, they pushed heated cups to His Majesty's skin to form blisters. Doctors believed when these blisters were punctured, the disease would also drain away.
Ouch! Poor king.
The doctors stayed busy. They then bled the screaming king another 8 ounces of blood. But perhaps the disease was not just in His Majesty's blood, but also in his bowels? Not to worry. The hardworking doctors gave the king powerful medicine to induce vomiting and diarrhea. By that evening, Charles II had his head shaved, and his hardworking doctors burned blisters on his scalp and other body parts as well. An irritant powder was pushed up his nostrils and pigeon poop to his feet.
That's like torture. Did the doctors not like the king?
I think the doctors probably had the best of intentions. Today, we couldn't do that to our worst enemy. Over the next few days, His Majesty was bled again and again. His doctors made him drink 40 drops from a human skull extract from a man who suffered a violent death, and eat a gallstone from an East Indian goat. A concerned physician even poured some ammonia down His Majesty's throat as an antidote.
Did he live?
I don't think even the healthiest person could have survived that type of torture day after day. Charles II eventually died on the 6th day.
Wow.
Many famous people died after being aggressively bled by their doctors. In 1791, Wolfgang Mozart fell ill, and his doctors bled him over 2 liters until he lost consciousness. The musical genius never regained consciousness. In 1799, 2 days before his death, a healthy George Washington rode on his horse, supervising farm activities in the snow. He stayed in his wet clothes so he could be on time for dinner. That night, he he started to have a fever. His doctors bled him 5 times over the next day, causing him to lose 40 to 50% of his blood volume. He passed away shortly after.
Doctors continued to do it even though so many people died afterwards?
Interesting, isn't it? When we look back, sometimes we find it hard to believe people did such crazy things. But at the time, people thought it was perfectly normal and paid to have professionals bleed them. Bloodletting is believed to have started in ancient Egypt. Greek physician Hippocrates, father of medicine, believed there were 4 humors inside a human body: black bile, yellow bile, blood, and phlegm. And there was an intricate balance. Some diseases were thought to be caused by too much blood, so the good doctors drained excess blood in order to help their patients. Before we gained understanding of medical knowledge through science, people experimented with many interesting treatments. In Rome in the 1st century, many women died during childbirth. To help with labor pain, scholar Gaius Pollinius Secundus recommended taking powder made from a female pig's poop, sperm from a goose, or fluid from a weasel's uterus. For midwives, he recommended using gloves made from a dog's placenta.
How did he think of these things?
I'm not sure. That's beyond my level of imagination. In the 12th century, some doctors in Italy recommended white powders made from eagle's poop for laboring women. Don't ask me why poop powder always seemed to be the ideal drug, or how people managed to gather eagle's poop. For birth control, meaning to help women not get pregnant, those doctors recommended to find a male weasel, take his testicles and then let him go. Then tie the testicles on the woman's chest with goose skin.
What would that do?
Well, I think it would help the male weasel not get any female weasels pregnant, but I'm not so sure about the poor women who used the method.
Weasel body parts seem to be a cure for a lot of things.
Indeed, poor weasels. In ancient Greece, doctors used powders from the skull and dead people's brain to treat seizures. In medieval Europe, people used extracts from skulls to treat things like gout or heart disease as well. In 18th century America, bone marrow from a dead person was used to treat cramps. His gallbladder was used to treat hearing problems, and his heart was used to treat epilepsy.
Yuck!
In 17th century Europe, you can sometimes see people waiting at the guillotine. As soon as the prisoners' heads were cut off, they would gather the dead person's blood with cups. Fresh blood from a dead person was thought to be the cure for epilepsy.
That is super yucky.
Indeed. Out of the many, many years humans have existed, only in the most recent years did we learn the correct ways to treat certain diseases. Thanks to different branches of science like pathology, biochemistry, pharmacology, immunology, and many others. There's still much to be learned. Many years later, when we look back at the way certain diseases are treated today, perhaps people will be shocked at our ignorance as well.
Here's my joke of the day. What animal is always at a baseball game? I'll give you some time to think about it. 3, 2, 1. The answer is a bat. Thank you for watching. Please remember to click the like and subscribe buttons below. You can turn on the notification bell if you wish to be notified when our next video comes out. Thanks!